everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be doing some painting using the white collage tissue as a base. So I get lots of questions on my channel about how to use the white tissue papers in my art journal, and to be honest, up until this point I really haven't been using them. Until Dina came out with the gloss sprays, I barely used them. I actually just used them as gel print papers instead of using them for their intended purpose. But after watching Dina's daily demos, if you go to the Art of Dina Wakely blog, she's got all her videos there that you can go and have a look at, and I highly recommend you do because they're just amazing. She used them in all sorts of different ways, and it got me thinking about, she did one demonstration which is called overpainting, where she overpainted on a magazine image, and she said, oh, you can do this with my collage faces. And I had this black page in my journal sitting for a while, so I thought, well, why not give it a go? I've used the white collage tissues on black pages before, but they've really bugged me because you can see in the background they're still quite cloudy. You don't get that real translucent thing happening, and it just used to be a real bugbear for me. But once I saw this technique of overpainting, I thought, oh well, I actually only need that image there to use as sort of a guideline of where to put my paint, where to put my shadows, and I'm going to be painting over it, so I'm not going to see that cloudy nature to the paper. So it was very freeing to do because I had this base, so I didn't have to worry about trying to draw a figure. I just needed to paint over the top. So I've chosen a palette of colours. They're not realistic. I've been using, if you have a look at my latest videos, you'll notice when I've been doing this technique, this is the palette I've been using, just because it's one where I've sort of become comfortable with what I'm using as a highlight, what I'm using as a shadow, and what I'm using as midtones. I need to practice with a few different shades, but until I do, you're stuck with pinks and blues and purples. But what I'm sort of doing is laying down some of my shadow colour, which is the ocean colour, I think. And then I'm going in with some turquoise over the top, which is my lighter colour. In the hair, I'm using my magenta is my light colour, my mid-tone colour, sorry. I'm using fuchsia, the darker colour, as my shadow. And I'm using carnation as the highlight in the hair. And I really loved how the hair turned out because the brush strokes actually sort of resembled somewhat hair tumbling, so I didn't get, you know, the really straight look hair. It actually looked like it had a bit of movement, which is, you know, really pleasing when I sort of got into it. With the eyes and so on, I'm using the blues and the purples. I think I've got some blackberry there to use as a darker color for the purple, the blue part of the face, and that sort of, I'm just building up the colors, so I'm not putting on really heavy coats. I'm just layering it up, so they're quite thin coats, and if I need to add in some more shadow, I go back and add that in. If I need some more highlight, I go back and add that in. So you can sort of just keep working until you're happy with it. Now I did put some of the carnation on there, and you can see I wasn't happy with that, so with a wet wipe you can sort of wipe things away until you're back to the layer that you really like. With the eyes, I used a paint pen to paint in the whites of the eyes, and I've used a Stabilo Oil pencil to sort of put in where the black is going to go, and at the end I'll sketch over now, not even at the end, I'm going to use my Stabilo Oil pencil and sketch over the entire shape to get some of those loose lines back in again. Now again, I've got a bit more confidence doing this because the original outlines were there. I've painted over them, I've put the shadows in. Even though I can't really see those white lines, I know that they're there to sort of trace over, and it just gave me a lot more confidence with drawing this face back over than it would have if I didn't have anything underneath. So it was huge having that there as a bit of support, I suppose, to your drawing. And as Dina talked about in her videos, if you go and check those out, using a magazine image, you can do exactly the same, and you've got that same support underneath. And in a magazine image, it's actually a little bit easier because the darker areas and the lighter areas are there for you as well, so you just basically paint over what you see. With the white collage tissues, you do have to, think about it a little bit. One of the biggest tips I have come across, though, this is from James Luke Burke Creative, was if you're worried about drawing where highlights and shadows go on a face, watch makeup tutorials on YouTube, particularly ones that do contouring and highlighting, because where they put their contours is where you put your dark colors, where they put the highlights is where you put your highlights, your lighter colors. And it made a huge difference to how I thought about faces. I do have to say, the spelling mistake in my quote has now been fixed. Thank you to Sandra who pointed it out. I forgot to put an N in amount. And this quote was sent in by someone who had watched a video I did for a class, and it just really struck me. We either make ourselves miserable or make ourselves strong. The amount of work is the same. And I just thought it was perfect and sort of summed up this really strong image of that face looking out onto the page. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that's inspired you to use your white pages. They're a great base to work from. And whether you use paint or colour pencils or scribbled sticks over the top, you can get a similar effect. Check out the art by Dina Wakely and the links below. Until next time, bye for now.